The defending champs, they're not acting their ages, that's for sure last night. Brady was great. Main weapons were Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown. So much for me saying, I don't know about Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski yesterday on the show. But, hey, it's one game. We start a season, a great start to the season. I'm not sure how the rest of week one's matchups will live up to maybe that kind of hype, but looking forward to watching those. And you start to break the game down. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. Said yesterday I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas won the game. It just had a strange feeling about it, and I don't know why. I don't know. There was nothing I was basing it off of other than, and in listening to a lot of the analysts yesterday, it's like, oh, you know what? If Dallas scores 20 points, this will be a moral victory. You know, if they keep it close, this is a moral victory. They kept talking about moral victories. Dallas was the better team last night. I mean, if you get numbers, 11 penalties with the defending Super Bowl champs, and you have them on the ropes at their place, this is one of those games where we thought, okay, Dallas is probably going to start out 3-2. They'll lose their first two, lose to the Bucs, the Chargers, and then they'll win their next three against the Giants, the Eagles, and Carolina. And then you look at their schedule, and it's a friendly schedule. They're not playing great teams until like week 11. But that was one of those games where you're watching, and even Chris Collinsworth said it, Dallas should be up by double digits, and they should have been. You miss a couple of field goals, you miss an extra point, and those always come back to haunt you. That would always be the come back to haunt me if I was betting on the game, not are you going to win the game? And it turned out to be they could have won the game. And I thought that they played pretty well. Now, a couple of things. If we know that Dak has a shoulder injury or there's going to be sensitivity there the entire season, and he's throwing nearly 60 times, and he got hit, they went after him, he is going against a good defense. Where is that running game to maybe offset this a little bit? That was the big surprise. Zeke Elliott, I didn't want to sign him to the second contract. I think you got your weapons. You're going to be a pass-first team. Defense did okay. Got Brady a couple of times, although one went off Fournette's hands. But still, you take advantage of those situations there. But you got to put some pressure on Tom Brady. You touched Brady twice. That's it. You're not going to beat him if you don't move him off his mark, if you don't, make him a little uncomfortable back there. Because he's not athletic, but if you force him to be athletic, now you can really change the direction of their philosophy. And they weren't able to do that. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't know if I'd be cashing my check publicly after that game, but Micah Parsons looked like he's a rookie linebacker. You can have all that athleticism. It doesn't matter. Brady loves to pick on rookie linebackers, young linebackers. And you could see that last night. At one point, he was turned around. He was like, where am I? And he's trying to cover Gronk at one point. And Gronk doesn't move well, but he moves smartly. And you saw that last night. He's great at positioning himself. But if I'm Tampa Bay, I go, whew, we did not play that well. And they didn't. But you win that game, you need to win that game. There's probably 3 or 4 games for every team, it feels like. And these are playoff teams where you look back and go, man, we're lucky. Or we should have won that game. And those 3 or 4 are really important when it comes to seeding when you get to the playoffs, home field advantage. Are you on the road? You look at the Buccaneers were 7-5 last year after 12 games. And there were a couple of games they probably went, we could have won those, but they didn't. And I really had questions about that team after 12 games where I go, are they going to be a wild card team? Are they making the playoffs? And then we saw them go on that run. But if I'm Dallas with Dak Prescott, that was very impressive for somebody who comes back from a devastating injury and to be able to perform like he did against a very good team on the opening night in Tampa. I'd be pretty thrilled if I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't like him throwing nearly 60 times. I don't like that at all. Here is Dak Prescott off the game talking about how hard fought this was.
We came up short, bottom line. Obviously, fought hard. We fought all the way to there in the end. That's a good football team that we're playing. They got us by a field goal right there. We've got to be better situationally. Defense did a great job giving us chances when we didn't convert touchdowns or field goals and getting us the ball right back. Did an incredible job. Tough anytime you don't win, as I said, it's the expectations for this team, for myself. Came up short.
Here's Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys head coach, on Dak Prescott.
This is who he is. I mean, I never thought that he couldn't have this kind of night. I mean, if you got to remember, I mean, he's 24/7 football. He puts a tremendous amount of extra effort into this. So, we'll sit down and watch the tape. There'll be some things we can learn from and clean up.
Here's Tom Brady on the final drive of the game.
It's just competition at its best. So NFL football challenges you a lot in different ways. And, we've worked hard on our 2 minute. You got to string together a lot of communication about these critical moments and how to make the important plays when you need to. And I think the important part about the last drive of the game was we executed some really good plays at the right moment.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game for Brady, but it was Brady. It's when the game is on the line. Is there any other quarterback you'd rather have in there? I know you're probably going to say Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. Not for me. Like, I would probably take Russell Wilson. I still think when the game is on the line, 2 minute drill, he's the most dangerous. But it feels like he's put into that situation every single week. Brady's still big game on the line. He just knows what to do. Now, did Chris Godwin get away with a push-off? You could have had a call either way or no call in that moment, and I would have been fine with all three. If they would have said push off, I would have gone, okay. And if they didn't call something, or they called defensive pass interference, or they didn't, as they did last night, there's no call. I would have been fine with that because I thought the defensive back flopped a little bit. I think he realized that he didn't have position and his feet got tied up, and Godwin was going to make the call or make the catch, and then he sort of flopped after that. And I thought, it's a no call. Now, if it's in Dallas, is it called? Probably. But I did wonder about that, if you're not rooting for the Cowboys, Buccaneers, or have any money on this, or somebody's not on your fantasy team, can you be neutral and just say, yeah, either way, I would have been fine in a no call because I didn't have anything at stake on this. Yeah, Paulie.
I watched that play about 10 times, and the ref is right there. He's not out of position. I think the ref may have held the flag because the defensive back tried to sell it. He whipped his head back. His arms are flailing all over like an NBA player on a charge. And I think the ref said, nah, you're not going to get that one.
I don't know if they factor that into it, but if they did, then I didn't have a problem with the call. I didn't. I don't want flopping. Is the arm extended? Yes. Did the defensive back force some of that as well? Yeah, maybe. Yes, he.
The defensive back, just based on the way his body was positioned, looked like he was going to fall over it anyway. Whether Godwin had his arm up or not, he looked like he was falling over.
Yeah. I thought that he did his best to try to sell it, that he's getting pushed off there. Yes, McLovin.
Well, that's what penalties are in the NFL. I mean, the only time they ever call offensive holding is if the defensive lineman slips. I mean, falling that's how you get a call, is you fall. I thought it was a push-off. But I thought it was just too close to call. Do you think in the first quarter it called differently?
Yeah. It's probably called in the first quarter. Probably.
But you always said it's impossible to call that hand fighting these days anyway.
Yeah, because if I'm a defensive back, I do what the Legion of Boom made famous. I got my hands on you. You're not going to. How many of these are you going to call? The game, you don't want to slow the game down. You don't want penalties all the time. And, the Legion of Boom was like, we're going to put our hands all over these guys. And they are. There's so much contact. And prior to the ball being thrown, it's really hard to tell who's the aggressor. Yes, Tom.
I also wonder if it's in Jerry world, is there any way that goes in favor of the Cowboys? I always wonder, the homer call that the refs aren't supposed to take into account, obviously.
Yeah. I just mentioned that. If it was in Dallas, would have gone.
I guess I was re-emphasizing that.
Oh, you were?
Gave me a chance to say Jerry world also.
Oh, okay.
Further illuminating your point.
Thank you, Todd.